Hey, David, how's it going? What day of the week is it?
When
did you get to bed hair?
You know what I was saying the other day is there's a downside to COVID, and no one thinks that. And then I know.
Like, remember I said, who is the guy who said, you know what? This COVID has a downside.
Dana and I are doing this because I could pull him out like pulling teeth to go to dinner, which has to be within a quarter mile of his house. And then we would talk and laugh. We told SNL stories, and we have dinner with Neil and other guys from the show. We thought, there's so many people that watch SNL. Let's try it. Let's just talk about it and bring in all the cast members or music or hosts and bullshit.
Yep. We could have called this Inside Baseball because it is. Everyone has a variation on a theme so far of their experience. Never forgetting it. But yeah, I was pretty demanding with restaurants. It is a quarter mile away. But one time you enticed me to Beverly Hills, and we sat near the kitchen and had to take pictures for a half hour.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that can happen sometimes.
When the owner, we taking some pictures now. Which, again, this is not complaining, but the place we go is pretty mellow. I like it dark and quiet.
I like when the busboy comes by. You know, a lot of people will help you at their level. Like he comes by, he goes, "Hey, Joe Dirt." I go, "All right." And he goes, "Hey, I'm going to give you some extra bread." And I go, all right, because that's nice of him. At his level, that's how he's helping.
Hey, man, I don't mind that because I was a busboy for 3 years at the Holiday Inn. We called ourselves table maintenance personnel managers.
Yeah, I was not a great busboy. They always said, they had a big chart in the back, lift with your legs. I'm like, I've never lifted my legs fucking once. Everything is across the table, and I have to lean over and pop my spine.
Jesus, so you were a busboy too?
Yeah, guy. I tried to be waiter, and he goes, "You don't got the stuff." I go, "What stuff? This is harder."
It took me 6 months. I was a dishwasher.
I was a dishwasher.
That was the Hobart 3000. I was just bleeding and cutting and
we had
sweating.
The Cum Sucker 8000.
Oh, I would eat the food.
I ate
right off the thing.
Always in the back. I would watch people and go, "Don't finish that fucking steak, dude, because I'm going to eat it."
No, they were just thousands of plates, and then the guy came back every 20 minutes. My first shift. You want to still do it? Yeah, I'm not gonna quit because everyone would quit.
You know how I got fired is because the guy goes, "Don't be a waiter. You're not a waiter," and they don't like when you talk to them. I go, but I'm like, I'm sort of an upbeat guy. They go, "I don't give a fuck. You're the busboy." So on Father's Day, it was packed, and we were selling shark. That was a special. This is in Arizona, which is so gross. And so I walk by the table, and someone goes, "How's the shark?" I go, "I got a motto. I don't eat them. They don't eat me. Can I talk to you?" I go, "Fuck." So the manager goes, "What'd I just say?" He goes, "What are you doing over there?" I go, "I don't know, killing." And he goes, "No, you're not." I go, "Dude, I'm getting applause breaks."
Hey, man, I waited on Rich Little. Nice. Everyone backstage, "Oh, dude, you're Jimmy Stewart." I waited on Richard Pryor. I waited on Carlin. I brought him a bowl of oatmeal, and he goes, "Oatmeal. Drop the O and you have at-meal." I said, "Give it a rest." Okay?
Give it a rest. There's no blue food.
I gave Richard Pryor a Denver omelet, and I came back to get the plate. He goes, "Whoever made this omelet can suck my dick." And I never knew if it was a compliment or but I think he loved it.
That sounds nice. Well, Chris Rock is a good buddy of both of ours. I'm pretty tight with him. He's such a nice, cool dude.
He was in your team, your era. And but to me, always seemed just, it sounds kind of corny, like an old soul. I just don't see Chris like in high school skipping around or something.
No.
He had this wisdom about him, and he has this skill set of distilling things to the essence very quickly if you're around him. And he gave me an incredible compliment once because I was at 93. I said, "Well, I guess I'm going to leave the show." And he goes, "Leave the show? They're going to have to get like 5 guys to replace you." Yeah. It's such a sweet thing, but that was my experience.
He's a smart guy. He's very nice down deep. He's not like a cool super. Yeah, and he I think he's an honest guy, and we talked to him. He's very honest.
Just like, when he's off SNL and they ask about Lorne Michaels, and he says, "The man gave me a job."
Yeah.
There was never any complaining.
No bitterness that he got fired.
Nothing. Just
he's still one of my tight buddies. So let's hear from Chris.
Let's see what he has to say.
Hey, Rock, are you in that sweet pad I saw that was near where we ate?
Yeah, I'm in that sweet pad. I told you, when I go on tour, you can borrow it. You can help me stay. I don't care.
Rock said I could stay there. Hang on, Dana. I wet the bed, and so I said I shouldn't stay at his house because I'd feel embarrassed.
You still wet the bed. I was a bedwetter. There's no way to get out of a wet bed with any dignity. what happened, dear? But anyway, we'll get to the childhood stuff in a minute. But Chris, on a day off for you, not a family day, but a Chris day, like it's going to be totally off, no emails. You're going to have fun. Does that great Chris day include having to go on a podcast? Because you're performing.
I love the lady, but I really love Spade.
I know.
Yeah.
So you had to do it.
Rock and I came in together. Yeah, thank you, Rock.
Almost anything for Dana, but anything.
No, but you guys were the junior varsity who outdid the varsity. But we had a junior varsity team consisting of Farley, you, Sandler, Schneider, and David. I mean, it was an incredible junior varsity team that was being trained to take over when we left, in a way, right? No?
It was, it's amazing that, Farley, like Kobe Bryant, came off the bench. People forget.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We do a whole show and we go, hey, how about this guy, Farley? Which is
I don't even know why they hired us, because normally they bring in the new people when the old people are,
gone.
start not doing great. You guys were in rare form. I mean...
That was the beginning of a 18, 20 person cast. When I came in, it was like basically 4 feature players, or there were 6 total. And that was the beginning. And now there's like 21. So it never went back to just 5 people being the cast right after that.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. I went the other night and I couldn't believe how long
the credit roll is. Yeah.
Don Pardo's like, and Jimmy
and Al Roker. Al Roker's on SNL. Like, I couldn't believe. It's like, how many people are in this cast?
Mm-hmm. We started, it was, just so people know, I came on at the end 4 shows of the previous season. So Rob Schneider and I got hired to write for 4 episodes. On those 4, Dice Clay was the host. We had a couple of good ones, Alec Baldwin's first show. And then when the summer came, we got picked up, and then that's when Rock and Farley came, right, Rock? Were you a full cast or were you a feature player?
Me and Farley got brought on together. We were the new guys that year.
Yeah.
So we were all sort of new together. Yeah. So we got close offices, and we Rock, who people don't know because he's tough on TV. So am I. I've come off like a hard-ass athlete. But Rock is a nice person, and I was sort of out of my element from Arizona, and we gravitated just because we were kind of in over our heads, like everyone is there, I guess, when they start.
Yeah, I mean, well, they always had that thing. It was the stand-ups and the improv guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the improv guys were more technically prepared for the show, but the stand-up guys, because we write our own material, and we live and die by the crowd, we were more, I thought, mentally prepared for the show. Like,
because the show is
killed or it didn't kill.
Yeah.
Like, we could, like the stand-ups, I thought, were less into the politics of who likes who and who's close with Downey and who's close with Lauren. That's like improv guys, because they're in a group think. And stand-up, like Sandler, to come from writing on the show and this, by force of nature, make himself, the biggest cast member.
Huge.
Only a stand-up could do some crazy shit like that.
Yeah.
I think I caught on to Sandler. We always thought he's funny, but Chris, Dana, we all know great comedians that never pop or never make it. And I'm like, I watch a guy go, this guy's better than me, and I probably make more. You know what I mean? They're just, they don't get discovered. And when you see Sandler, I think it was somewhere around Crazy Spoonhead where I'm like, this fucking guy does not run out of ideas. He does not stop, and he just fucking crushes. It's every week it was a new one. I'm like, God damn, this guy's got it.
He would crawl around on all 4s down the hallway. I'd be in my office and I'd hear a little knock, and he would come in so gently and so quietly. But he wanted me to introduce Opera Man because he'd done it once and they didn't so that from Update, somehow I introduced it and it was separate, and he had a little stage, And that was the beginning. But when I first saw Sandler, his likability and charm, let's just talk about him for a sec. He'll hate if he hears it.
Hey.
Just sitting in a chair and leaning back. Hey, I mean, it was like, whoa, you know, and the girls liked him. Let's face it. And then he's Adam Sandler. But
he's the original Pete Davidson. He was...
Yeah, Pete Davidson, great comic, but I am fascinated by who he has sex with. I mean, that's a big part of my life, following that thing.
I was at the show. I guess I can say this without getting whatever.
Let's go.
And so, you know, I'm at the Kim show. By the way, Kim was incredibly funny, right?
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm just sitting backstage. I was like, who's it going to be? It's like, it's not me. It's not me. I'm like, she's probably met Blake Griffin already. I was like, you know, maybe Pete. This might be it.
Really? I mean, it's sort of pushed to the front because Colin Jost is married. It just sort of
gravitates.
Right.
Like, Colin's married. I was like,
you'd be good though.
No, I'm more of a Chloe guy.
Oh.
Well, the language starts like this, aren't they? They're just friends.
Plus, I'm friends with Tanya. That would have been too weird.
Oh, yeah, that would have been too weird. But they always say they're just friends. Then they say they enjoy each other's company. They're hanging out. You know, you see the trajectory here. At first, I thought...
They're both lovely people, by the way. So
Pete Davidson
is them well.
Very charismatic as a person. I really see why women would like Pete. He's funny. He's cool. He's got a great voice.
He's really tall too. It's like how many funny tall guys are?
Tall trumps most things.
Yeah,
most things.
Rock, I have a question about when you did your first. Do
you have like questions prepared? Did you guys actually?
Yeah, we care about you.
My goal was for you not to be bored. Like, so you got an SNL and then Bring the Pain really blew up, right?
Oh my God.
You know what I mean? So I have questions for you that I'm actually curious, like as if we were hanging out. Yeah, but if you want us to ask about anything, let us know.
I'll answer anything you want.
I'm curious about if David. Rock felt if it was not fair, but I did one Weekend Update in my first 4 shows and it scared the fuck out of me. We all weren't really actors. We hadn't done much. So Rock's first show, they were so salivating over Rock to come in and do all these sketches they couldn't do that I remember, I think they overloaded you with so many, because there was the Confederate sketch especially.
Yes. Only as I got, SNL hadn't had a black cast member in like 9 years. Most people think I'm the black guy after Eddie. I'm actually the black guy after Damon Wayans. And Living Color was killing it at this point. And there was like a bunch of whatever, SNL So White articles or whatever. And then I got hired. So, yeah, there was like this immediate thing where like, you're going to do some Eddie Murphy stuff, right? I'm like, I don't do any impressions.
They brush off all the old Murphy sketches.
That's a lot of pressure. You know, the Eddie Murphy type stuff.
Any impressions. I don't do any voices. You know what I mean? Like, I do what I do. I mean, you know. But, so, yeah, I guess there was pressure.
You have to act and you have to look at cue cards. And, you know, just being in one sketch, you're terrified all week, or I was. And you have to inch your way in. And you were like hosting that first time, because I remember you were in a lot of sketches. They're pulling you every which way. You have a million costume changes. And the scariest one was I was a soldier in the Confederate soldier. I don't know what the sketch was. You were the first black general
I don't know.
or something.
Franken wrote it.
Franken. And he was fucking roughing you up.
No one should have to work with Franken the first year on the show.
Never. That's what I was getting at, is he's so tough. Now, what are you doing? What?
It's like, okay, you've been on 2 years. Now you can work without Franken.
God damn.
He was intimidating.
He's great. He's an amazing guy, but, you know.
He's a little intimidating because he's very blunt. Oh, that wasn't very funny. You know, you have to get used to that.
He's the white Lou Gossett Jr. from Office and the Joke. Like,
100%.
He's like,
what you gonna do? Mayonnaise? Was it that what he called it?
Mayonnaise.
Great
Because
movie.
I remember that sketch. I was like,
he's the Jewish
fucking
Lou Gossett.
Rock. But was it weird? Because if I didn't really think about it that way, but In Living Color is doing great. You must feel like you're almost stuck on SNL, because it's like, fuck, I should be on.
I did. I mean, I loved it and I loved you guys, but it was a weird, I'm sure Jackie Robinson used to like go to Harlem after the fucking games with the Dodgers and shit. It's like, shit's happening uptown. Why am I here with Pee Wee Reese? But
Pee Wee Reese, good reference.
When you went on In Living Color, you finally went on there. Was it fun or was it not fun at that point?
No, but I finally got there. The Waynes were gone. Keenan was gone. I was like,
I didn't know that.
I don't even know what the hell I was on. But it was weird. I got to work with Jim Carrey and Jamie Foxx was there.
Oh, good.
All of that SNL and Living Color, it was just for me to make friends and to kind of learn about writing and writing on a deadline. Yeah. All of that was just training. And, I was supposed to do stand-up. Thank God.
Yeah. It's a humbling boot camp that just reminds you that everyone got there because they were good, and then you're immediately shit on. And it's like a wake-up call, like, oh, fuck,
I'm not the first guy to, like, maybe, the show wasn't perfect for me, but, Julia Louis-Dreyfus, Stiller,
Oh, yeah.
It's like a lot of people that kind of,
Jim Carrey, I auditioned with Jim Carrey, and I thought, well, they got to pick Jim Carrey. Guy's insane. But then he killed on In Living Color. Yeah. I
auditioned, the night I auditioned, me and Sam were auditioned. We were at the Chicago Improv. And Dana Gould was so good.
Know him well.
Oh, wow.
I left the audition.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't even stay to meet
Sam
Lauren.
Fran guy.
Yeah. I was like, okay, this is over. This guy.
Smart, funny.
Like, whatever. Like, this guy's so much better than me. I am out of my league. And I left. And later that night, Lauren, found out what hotel I was in and told me to come downstairs and basically told me I had the show. I didn't even, that's how good Dana Gould was. Like, let me get the fuck out of here because I'm wasting my time.
I think with Lauren, it's like almost a sports analogy or something. He's looking at people can play well together a little bit.
Well, I asked him that in reference to Dana Gould, and it is no knock on Dana's had a great career writing on The Simpsons. It's fucking great specials, the whole thing. Lauren said the thing. I said, what did you see in us? Because I was like, what did you see in me and Sandler? Because we both were like, what the fuck are we doing here? And he said, well, you guys had original thought.
Yeah, that's a big thing is writing. They always look at writing, and I don't think that.
We both had like a joke somewhere that he hadn't heard before. And
I love that.
That's why he hired us.
What would be like at that time? Didn't Sandler's have the thing about who's guarding Wilt Chamberlain?
The Wilt Chamberlain thing's one of the greatest.
Yeah, for people
of comedy. That should be an NFT.
Explain that.
It should be an NFT.
It was so original and so funny, but I want to know what your signature thing you might have had at that, or your go-to, moment, your most surefire bit.
I had a bit about going to an abortion rally to meet women that I knew were fucking. That was.
I remember that.
That was pretty radical.
That was radical in
1989, 90.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa!
Well, Rock came with more hype than Sandler, I think. I think Rock, when I got there, everyone was telling me, pss, pss, pss. And I also heard a lot of hype about Farley. And then we knew Sandler from the Valley, so me, Schneider, and maybe Dennis, maybe Dana were helping, saying Sandler's funny. He came soon after. But it was weird. Like, first, you can tell if people had game, and sometimes you can just tell around the office, you can tell it read through, but I definitely was looking around that place going, everyone's great. When you go down to Smile,
it was
Jack Handy
School of Comedy.
Talk about original thoughts. Every Jack Handy sketch, I'm in read through going, you're fucking shitting me. I should quit the business. I don't even know what I'm doing. He would the weirdest ideas.
Yeah.
Hey, man, I remember Mike Myers, just shit that didn't get on. I still remember to this day. I'm like, what the fuck?
I've mentioned to people, they ask me about, the greatest cast, whatever. And I mentioned specifically 90 to 93 because there were too many cylinders firing. And you'd have a Toonce as the cat, or Myers do Sprockets, you do Nat X, David do this, Sandler, you guys were coming up and getting a fan following. I think those 3 years was like, sometimes I'd sit back and go, man, that show kicked ass.
Because they got the overlap. They got you guys and we're coming up and it's crossing, and then you guys all leave and then it's just us. But
yeah, we had Phil, we had Jan, we had, it's just like, that was a wild time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was insane. I learned more there than I had learned, any other time in my life. And good people,
Rock, you're friends with Kanye. Is he crazy?
He's an eccentric guy,
I do say eccentric because Kanye, I think, is so smart, like in maybe that Elon Musk way or something, because he's so good at what he does.
Yeah, I mean,
it makes you not fit in.
With Kanye, I always go, is he worth it? And I was like, so far.
As a friend or just as a
just as an artist, it's like puts you through a lot, but you're like, okay, that record's pretty great. Hey, I love these sneakers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is this true? And I love that if it is true, but I think he had a problem at SNL with a sketch or something, a music thing, obviously, and there was technical issues. He said, apparently, you don't understand, I'm Stanley Kubrick. So I thought, to me, Stanley Kubrick is like,
Yeah, I mean, compared to the Bad Boys, he is Stanley Kubrick.
But to reference, I'm Stanley Kubrick.
Like, in the world of rap, yeah.
That's an NTF. I'm Stanley Kubrick.
Compared to Young MC, yes, he is fucking Stanley Kubrick.
Well, my kids turned me on to hip hop and rap. Now I love it, but it took me a while. But now it's gone to porn rap, which is very interesting.
Hey, porn's always interesting.
It's got to go. You got to meet the two. They got to meet at some point.
It was inevitable.
Yeah.
It made total sense when it happened. Cardi B was on the Super Bowl commercial, Mike and I did. Couldn't have been sweeter and just gentle, and I wasn't that familiar with her music, but meeting her and then hearing WAP, it's like, okay, I got it. You
know what's really funny about Cardi B? A friend of mine's turned me on to her years ago, just from her Instagram feed, and I tried to get her a deal at Comedy Central to do a show, like a comedy show,
because she's funny.
I thought I'd never heard one rap. She wasn't even rapping or whatever at the time. I was like, this girl's funnier than everybody.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? You told me that about
funny.
Nicki Minaj years and years ago. I didn't know who Nicki Minaj was, and you go, I said something about her, and you go, actually, she's really funny. She's got a great personality. And that was the first me going, oh, really? I like that you look at it with those eyes, because sometimes I can't help it when I meet women. And not that you were dating them, but when you just meet women, that sort of easy, funny thing that comes out of them is always really a great quality, because they don't try to be like Robin Williams. They're a funny personality. I love it.
Well, you're a handsome guy, David, so you think you have a chance. I don't think I have a chance.
You're the good-looking guy. Whenever we go out, they like Rock better. Okay. They always go, why aren't you Chris Rock? And I go, I can't be.
Don't you get more handsome than ever, Chris? Don't you get that?
Oh, thank you.
It's not it's not like you're aging horribly. I'll just say that you're very
We're all doing well.
He looks cooler when he gets older.
Yeah, if I lean back and have the mic here, I'm in good shape. The neck is not happy with this age, but this is pretty good. You lose volume in your face, and your face recedes into your skull. So you need glasses. This is something Jerry Seinfeld will do eventually. But should I ask you kind of off the kilter question?
I asked a question last night.
Oh.
Because I'm name dropping.
Oh.
Who did you have dinner with, you guys, last night?
Seinfeld.
Me, Jerry.
Colin.
Just, what the fuck? Paul McCartney.
Good.
Jesus Christ.
Guy O'Siri, Jimmy Fallon, JR.
Did they shut down the restaurant or what the fuck?
And Aziz Ansari.
Which Cheesecake Factory?
So Paul McCartney goes, I'd like something, a little sudsy on the top. And Jerry goes, I don't want anything with suds. Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't say that as a name drop. I was just feeding Dana.
Dana, go down the line. I do Jerry Seinfeld as a serial killer, because I don't think Jerry has two gears and Fallon does this one gear. But sometimes Jerry goes, when he did his president bit, someone wanting to be president, I think I'm just the right guy for that thing. I think I could do president too. He has that do-ba-do-do-do. So I do him as a serial killer. I'm just going to go in, cut your spleen, go down the liver and do the thing. Anyway, sorry. I could do Paul McCartney. Killed.
Kills.
Killed.
So what do you
the
like?
lady always kills.
So when you're in that situation with those people, you just look at the table and kind of go, I belong, right? I mean, you're chill.
I mean, you're in that situation. We're in that situation right now. We're all pretty accomplished. Us three.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, nobody looks at Paul McCartney and goes,
I should be here.
How you doing, my equal? Nobody does that.
But he's so, there's no way like
Jerry. But, through lots of therapy, I can kind of relax during
But
these things.
McCartney seems like he likes to hang out with people. Funny people also get a pass. They like little court jesters around. I've been invited to shit out of mostly curiosity factor. They just go, Spade, go. Keep things moving. I'm like, beep, beep, boop, boop. You know what I mean? They like that you're going to say something funny.
You're enough, David. You don't have to be a jester. You're enough.
I just got the results back. I have to be, they told me. My therapist told me.
So, Chris, I went into therapy with Conan's therapist. I piggybacked on his therapist at 5. I was in it for 5 years. What? So you went through it intensely, right? So what's the headline? What's the takeaway for you? You know, mine is that I have a hard time taking care of myself. I'm always trying to help other people. That'd be one of them. You know, I bought a guitar for my nephew, a really nice guitar. And then I had a hard time buying myself a guitar. And I have a lot of money. And I said, God, I'm sick. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, this apartment is probably the first real purchase I've made for myself in about 28 years.
Right.
Since I got that Corvette for
at SNL?
At SNL, like life-changing purchase. Like,
and so what was that?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Like, always doing for other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, what I've learned in therapy is like, childhood trauma is like some real shit.
For real.
And you gotta, until you deal with all your childhood shit, nothing's gonna work out for you. You gotta start at the beginning. It's like working on a script. Okay.
Interesting.
Page 1.
So when I met you, you were a young man. But
I was a young man.
Were you ever kind of like snarky and spoiled in high school? Because by the time I met you, you seemed kind of like this guy, at least in maturity. You weren't bitter. You weren't snarky. You were never in a group with comedians kind of shitting on some other comedian. So I noticed that attitude you had as a young man. But I guess the childhood stuff for me, it was like I had a lot of anger, and it was in my stand-up. It was in my characters. And once in a while, I'd go off on any kind of authority figure that turned into my dad. But I got past that. But how did your anger express itself then to you?
I mean, here's the weird thing. It's when I was, my childhood, I was bullied ridiculously. Half of it, the bullying, is because I was just a little guy. And then I got bused to school. So I was a little guy and I was black, right? It's hard. So it's like, I'm getting double bullied. If I was white, I would have probably got bullied too, but it was just
double.
like,
But you're also supposed to be tough, probably.
Yeah, it was pretty rough, right? And it was pretty like every day. So it's weird. I had a weird temper. It's gonna be a weird thing. I was the oldest of 7, and I was weirdly smaller than my younger brothers. So it was a weird thing where your brothers like, hey, so and so down the block bothered me, and I'm like, I gotta fucking go protect Andre or Tony, and I'm fucking smaller than them. So anyway, one day a guy really disrespected me really bad, like mushed me at a party, and like mushed me and pushed like kind of like kicked sand on my face in front of girls and shit. And I went home. I put a brick in a book bag. This is like a legendary story in my neighborhood.
Like Bad Boys, yeah.
And I fucking swung that shit and smacked this guy in the face with this brick and then stomped him Joe Pesci style.
Wow.
Now, to the point, we thought he might die for even 3 days later. Every time a cop or whatever would come through the block, we'd be like, we're literally talking about ways of getting me to down south like that would have helped.
Huh.
Long story short, from that day on, as my shrink puts it to me, you have been scared to be angry ever since.
Mm.
So the guy you saw was bending over backwards to be nice because I was so scared of my anger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I was frightened of what, my shrink, the good shrink, I got, like the top guy.
There's good ones and bad ones. Yeah, definitely.
There's good ones and bad ones, and he broke it down. It's like, we got to get you over that incident.
Right.
Because you're a nice guy, and this guy brought out something in you, and you're so scared of that thing coming out of you again.
Yeah.
That you let the whole world walk all over you.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends walk over you, your family walks over you, your female relationships, everybody just fucks you over. Because it's somewhere in there they know there's a force field holding you back.
Interesting.
So in the weird way, I'm like the opposite of you, in the sense that in the last year, now I can get angry.
Right.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared of letting people know how I feel about certain things.
My therapy was about that too, though, because I was always the nice guy holding stuff in and not really. My aggression, my competitiveness overrode the nice guy. Because people who ask me, who meet me now, well, did you just allow other cast members, like, oh no, Lauren, do their sketch, that kind of thing? There was a natural competition in me. But in my personal relationships, I hated confrontation because when confrontation happened at my house, bodies flew. My dad was just really violent. So even all my siblings are like that. We don't like confrontation.
Yeah, no, that's
and that goes too
my
far.
house too. It wasn't violent per se, but it was loud as fuck.
Yeah.
So,
but those things stick with you, just loud.
Yeah, it just sticks with you. So now, I can kind of, I can tell you, hey, I didn't like what you said to me, or I didn't like what you, without losing my head, without hitting anybody.
Well, that's a home run for therapy. Let me ask you a question. So this apartment, I can't see much of it. So it was a mental leap for you to buy this for yourself.
It's
because you were frugal too in a way, right? You're always you wouldn't be the guy who would spend to the hill.
I always say your best manager or agent is a low monthly nut. That is like
right. You don't want to be doing the fifth lead on.
If you can keep a low monthly nut, chances are your career will be okay.
Make good choices.
Yeah.
You don't have to say there's meetings you don't even have to take.
Yeah.
When the cameo guy calls you up, you don't fucking return.
They called it "fuck you" money in the '80s, and I guess that's kind of what it is. Like, or now it's just no, thank you, no, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
When you said you were married, and you go, I think it's from your act. That are you scared she's going to take 50%? And you go 50. It's 80 now. Like,
it is.
You don't buy yourself much when you're married.
Didn't we have that conversation at the 40th backstage?
What did we have?
I thought it was. There's so much there. You told me about the divorce, and you said, "Well, it's half." And I just mentioned that other people I'd known in the business, and they go, "Well, it's half of, community property," and then the alimony adds up to more like 60, 70%.
It's about 70. Yeah.
Okay, 70%, which is fair.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. That's insane. That's insane.
Yeah, I always say my ex-wife has made more money off of comedy than Robert Townsend.
You also said once, I'm the only comedian that has to drive a cab at night.
I'm going to change that to Uber.
Yeah, I know.
I'm updating my act.
What kind of choices are you making now as far as girlfriends and stuff, or dating, or like how are you and just therapies informing all of that? And I think women generally do like when someone's straightforward, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how. I'm just not as desperate as I've been in the past.
Okay.
Just you know what I mean? Like, I'm just not like that thing where it's like, oh my God, I can't believe someone's paying attention to me. And then, you know.
Right.
And then you're in this weird lopsided thing where you both have one thing in common. You adore her.
Okay, here's a quote. I want you guys both to comment on this quote. Just comment on it. Okay. Whether it's true or not. Men want to be admired, and women want to be loved by a man they admire.
It's pretty accurate, I guess.
I mean, men want to be admired by who?
The woman in their
by
life.
Your peers.
Well, that's
like
too.
When I make,
yeah.
I mean, like when I make a special or whatever, the only people I care about is like you guys.
Right.
I'm so flattered.
Comedians, not even comedians, just comedians. I think they're funny.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah. That's
the rest I can.
And we know we're in the tribe. We know what, like, when we see you on stage. Well, I always love how you have the chord and the way you move, and you're all dressed up and you look great and the crowd's going crazy and you're just hammering it. I know what work went into that. I'm like, fuck, you know, and then to throw it all away and just be connected to it. Like I was really curious about this particular line you had, these anthems. And one was, a man's only as faithful as his options, which it seems like it was just hanging around, but it became quotable with my friends. It's not whether it's absolutely true, but it's just a very funny, astute observation. It's
pretty true.
I don't think I came up with it. I think like one of my uncles said it to me.
Well, that's coming up with it. And I
shoved it in a joke.
Yeah. But that's coming up with it, you know, noticing it, and I think I can use that. Yeah. But
yeah, that one follows me everywhere.
Really? Oh, good.
Good and bad, you know.
Oh.
It's like everybody.
A little too close for certain people.
It's like any girl you date. It's like, a man's only as faithful as his options. You know, like,
they're like, so are you out of options? You're like, well.
Yeah, I mean, hey.
Painted yourself in a corner.
I had it. Well, isn't that special? I can't get away from it. No, I'm kidding.
Rock, what are the 3 top things that people on the street know you for?
They know me for. I mean, they know me for. It's weird. It's like, especially because of YouTube. Yeah. They don't even know whole specials. They just know jokes about this or that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like specials end up becoming mixed together on some level.
Sure. They don't remember. They just go, that joke. You told this joke. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of.
Madagascar too.
I was on. I did a lot of Oprah Winfrey after Bring the Pain.
I remember
so
that.
So there's a certain amount. You'd be amazed at the housewives that, or the that are into that know what I do. But I don't know. I mean, it's not SNL anymore. It's more movies here or there. I don't know. I'm like I don't know. It's like, remember we were kids and you just see I don't know. I'm trying to think. Certain people were just famous and you couldn't even figure out why. Yeah. You're like, why is Charo famous?
You know what was hard for me to realize is when people
you're like, okay.
were recognizing me, I thought, oh, it was so great until I heard one person say, oh, I know that guy, he sucks. And I'm like, oh, it doesn't mean they like me. It just means they know who I am.
They just know you. I mean, I'll tell you this, that Gron-Ups is fucking.
Yeah, Gron-Ups is a big one. You're right. I
was about to say, really, any young person, my God, Gron-Ups.
We're keeping the lights on at TBS, I'll tell you, because it's on like
TBS
heavy rotation.
Plays Gron-Ups literally all the time.
1 and 2. You know what question I got, which you guys might not like? In my last interview, they go, "When were you the most famous?" And I thought, I know what he means, and I said the real answer is right now, because everything's accumulation, and then.
There's fame and then there's heat. There's hot where the phone's ringing off the hook. So I could tell you when I was hot, but yeah.
I'm more famous now than I've ever been. But me and Chappelle always joke about it. I always go, back when I was Drake.
That's like, yeah. Drink them up. 2002, 4.
I was Drake, whatever, from 96 to about 2007.
It's like the third or fourth special in a row.
It was like 4 specials in a row.
All
it was
crushed.
very Drake-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no $1 Million Nights now, but there were.
Those are you. Well, Bill Burr, I don't know. What does he get?
No. Bill Burr, please. Bill Burr's,
If you could do Madison Square Garden.
You're doing arenas. You can, Man, Sebastian does 2 shows a night at arenas.
Yeah, unreal. It's unreal.
Yeah, I loved it. That guy really stood out for me. I mean, in the last 5 years, as just funnier.
Especially you go watch him at the store, you can't not laugh.
Oh, I laugh. I was in the back of the store and just going, oh my God, who the fuck is this guy? And then I come in the next time I saw his name, I go in and watch. The funny thing now to me is when people were playing like Madison Square Garden, like I think you've played it, Chris. There's these big places you hear of, like in Boston, TD Gardens, whatever it's called. There's so many big ones. The Forum. It used to be reserved for like Eddie Murphy, maybe someone else. And now when you hear people that aren't even household names to me, and you go, this guy's playing this play, you go, whoa, this is a whole new world where through a podcast or through YouTube or through their specials, where it is a little under the radar, but they have a crowd that comes out. It's pretty unbelievable. It's great.
I think the exposure and social media and everything else, they become friends with you. So it's kind of like your friend, nobody, is playing Madison Square Garden. Yeah,
and also, I think there's more. I know in Europe and around the world, they always respected stand-up as a high art. But in America, it's the stand-ups are becoming the real artists.
Yeah.
Because in music's become a producer's medium.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of singer-songwriters. There's not a lot of, no one gives a fuck about liner notes anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the people that actually think are the comedians. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so there's kind of
because you write your own stuff, which is hard to do.
Yeah, it's like, hey, I love Rihanna. Tom Segura is a better artist. You know what I mean? He writes all the shit.
Yeah.
He writes all of his stuff. Rihanna's great. She's amazing. But in the tradition, the nerdy tradition of coming up with your own stuff.
Would you rather date Rihanna or Tom Segura? Be honest.
I would rather date Rihanna.
Tom Segura is a great example of someone that does, I won't say numbers, but he does a podcast. And then I ran into him and he goes, we do these live ones. So he makes a shitload off his regular podcast. And then he does a live one. And it's crazy where I go, you do not make that a 3-hour podcast. He's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes, next one we did, it doubled. I was like,
I don't know him.
He's
So
a funny guy.
his podcast is great. And that's an example of that where I often thought when the web first came out, could I get 1 million people to pay me $1 a month and I'll just go ape shit on YouTube? And that's starting to happen a little bit where someone, I don't know Tom's numbers, but I would guess if he charges $10 and he gets 50,000 people on his live YouTube little podcast, he's making $500,000.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta understand too, like, I don't want to get too technical. Humans need people to talk, right? So, whatever, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, philosophers used to be famous. There's no more fucking philosophers.
Mm-hmm.
People used to be religious and went to a church every week. No one goes to church anymore. So the only place people actually can hear people say their thoughts is through stand-up.
It's really
We're
ironic.
the last of the speakers. And you know what I mean? The last of the thinkers.
Have you seen some of these preachers, by the way, are similar. They walk the stage, they're talking, they're rallying people, they're talking, everyone's into it.
When I'm writing new material, I watch preachers just as much as I watch stand-ups.
Really interesting.
You come off a little bit like that. You work the stage. You're like a panther.
Well, my grandfather was a preacher. My great-grandpa, I have preachers in my in my family line.
Well, you see their performers. What works? It works for them. They're loud. They give it to them. People
they find
listening.
a premise. They milk it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I would, when my two sons were doing stand-up, and they had the main problem. So I was around open micers a lot. And the main thing was lack of clarity in the setup. So I actually put you on one of your specials. I said, look at this guy's language, this clarity of really digging into the premise. Everyone knows where he is, and then he drops the hammer. So, that makes sense to me. And obviously, Sam Kinison was a preacher. You could really see that,
Yeah.
My God.
One of the best.
The hardest guy to follow. I followed him once.
Hardest guy to follow ever.
I auditioned for Saturday Night Live and followed him as an unknown in '84 at the Comedy Store with no MC in between. Sam levitates the room, and now Dana Clarko. Death. I had no way out. There was nowhere to go, man. So, Chris, as far as just fun as stand-up, what size room and what's the situation? Like, for me, in a small room where I've got a notepad and I have some bits and I'm trying out new stuff, that is the most pure fun for me as far as stand-up.
I mean, it's weird. I start next week or the week after. I go to I'm not going to say where because I don't know when this is airing. Mm-hmm. But I'm playing a club.
3 years.
10 nights in a row in the middle of America, doing 2 shows a night.
Yeah.
Trying to get an act together so I can go on tour next year. That is fun. Once you get enough bits that
are working, I mean, isn't the greatest feeling a new bit that's unreal coming together?
My
still got it.
Favorite time is early in a tour. You've been on stage about 45 minutes. You're killing. And and I just feel the audience is like, oh, you motherfuckers ain't heard shit yet.
You're loaded up. You're happy.
Oh, you guys think you just heard a great joke. Wait till you hear this.
And your closer's coming up, yeah.
Have you ever wrote a bit, Chris, where it came together so perfectly that you thought, man, I don't know if I can write something that good again? I mean, or equal to it,
I'll say this bit, when my daughter Lola was born, the doctor hands me my child, and literally out of my mouth, I'm like, gotta keep her off the pole. It just came out of my fucking...
Say that again.
I was like, I gotta keep her off the pole.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Stripper pole.
And it's like one of the best bits I ever came up with. It was like, should I just get women pregnant to come up with this?
Yeah, it's fun. It's like a song. I'm sure you ask any song, people sometimes they're one-hit wonders, but there's one-hit wonders where I go, this is such a perfect song. Like everything about it is working. Everything. Yeah. And you go, and you don't want to be that as a comedian. So there's only a few things when you get older that still get me going. It's like there's a few tiny things in life, and one is coming up with new ideas, or saying something fast in real life. You're like, I fucking am, thank God my brain still works, because that's fun. And when you still like to do stand-up or still like to write jokes, I'm happy because I know some people that are burned out on showbiz or burned out on that, and they just don't like it anymore, but they go through the motions. Or a comic that travels with the same hour for about 20 years, which they used to a lot. Same act, same every year you'd see them. They come around to your city, and I'm like, fuck, they didn't change anything. But it was okay. Now it's fun to write and see if you can scrape together another hour that's good.
But isn't that, sometimes I would say I'm embittered by it, but I'm like envious, and I'll just say the Rolling Stones. I'm just envious of people, but we have to create new material, and rock stars can just do their top 15.
We don't even want them to.
And I really believe the Stones are better than they've ever been, because I think really winding down on a song over decades where you just know it so well, and Jagger never stops working. I mean, his voice is exactly where it needs to be at almost 80. But with stand up, you're like, I can't. Okay, got to start. Fuck, a whole new hour. I mean, it's like,
yeah, it's and it doesn't get any easier. No. I'm sitting here right now. I'm like, okay, I literally have shows in less than 2 weeks. I have fucking shows.
Well, there's two things going on. There's Chris Rock unknown, surprising the audience. Now the expectation is, woo! You know, when they introduce you, to make sure they don't go over the top with it, because I've been dropping it, mics, ladies and gentlemen. You know, this guy's gonna bring it. You're gonna really, you know, what do you want the MC to do for you in the club? He's trying out stuff. What do you want him to say?
I just say my name, no credits. Okay. Just
don't hype it up or scream.
But I mean, it's weird because it's like
you can't get away from being Chris Rock.
You can't get away from being who you are. And by the way, you can't get away from being who you are to the guy introducing you.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that guy's a comedian, and this is what he's.
I met Joe Coy once 10 years ago with Lovitz, or maybe it was 12, and he started tearing up just meeting me.
Yeah.
He started to get eyes were watering. I go, Joe, it's okay. And he's huge now, but there is that expectation, and you try to remember the way they see you. You know, the way you would see someone above the food chain when you were starting. It's interesting.
Yeah, I forget who used to say, somebody said at their first Letterman, they sat down and it was like talking to a $5 bill.
Because you can't, you can't. Letterman was so intimidating to me that the last few years, I would just get on my heels. I'd be in the wings and I'd see him. The last thing I'd say when they'd introduce my name, don't give this show too much respect. Like, pretend it's Bakersfield Today, just to get past the intimidation of David Letterman. There was something about New York, that theater in him. And I didn't know he liked me.
I was intimidated by Biff. Biff was standing.
Biff!
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like looking out, and he's like, 30 seconds. I'm like, fuck, Biff, I got to go out there? And he's so casual, and I'm like, all right, I got to get his level.
Yeah,
like,
I remember being...
Yeah.
I couldn't believe Biff wasn't an actor.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because he was on the show.
He's the last thing you see.
He actually was.
And they make him work.
You really wanted affirmation from Biff in that. How you doing, Biff? Biff, you all right? Oh, cool.
I was like, Biff, there was a time Biff was more famous than me. It was like,
fuck yeah.
Like, where's your dressing room, Biff?
All right, let's let him go, Dana. We did good with him.
This was so much fun, Chris.
It's always good.
This has been a podcast presentation of Cadence 13. Please listen, then rate, review, and follow all episodes. Available now for free wherever you get your podcast.
No joke, folks. Fly on the Wall has been a presentation of Cadence 13. Executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade. Chris Corcoran of Cadence 13 and Charlie Finan of Brillstein Entertainment. Production and engineering led by Greg Holtzman, Richard Cook, Serena Reagan, and Chris Basil of Cadence 13.